I'm going to be showing you how to make a crepe paper lotus. These are the crepe paper colors we are going to be using for this flower. We'll be using extra fine vanilla, extra fine fern, extra fine juniper. We'll also be using heavy crepe paper and nectarine, double-sided crepe paper in white, then double-sided ferns and moss for the leaf. To get started, we're going to go ahead and take our 20mm egg along with our needle nose tweezers. In the point of the egg, we're going to make a hole using the tweezers. The hole needs to be big enough for the tip of your thick stem wire to go into it and stay in there. We will be using a little bit of hot glue to hold it in. We're going to flatten out the larger side of our egg. We're just going to push it down until you've made it flat. Next, go ahead and grab your hot glue and add some hot glue to that hole you made. You could also use white glue for this step, but you'll need to give it some time to dry. Place your thick stem wire in there. Make sure it's really secure. Next, we're going to take our round piece that's heavy nectarine. Go ahead and apply white glue to the top of the egg and just around the edge. Place that circle on top of the egg and kind of stretch it over the sides, adding a bit more glue if you need to. Okay, next you're going to grab the extra fine fern and we're going to use it to wrap it around the outside of the egg. Go ahead and apply glue all over the outside of the egg. Only on the edge. We're not going to be covering the top of the egg to see that yellow crepe paper. So I'm going to stretch as I wrap it around. That'll help it get a really nice smooth finish. Once you've gone around the egg one time, you're going to apply white glue to the strip. It should wrap around the egg at least 4 times. Just really press the edges of the paper down so that you have a nice smooth finish. We're going to go ahead and set that aside and we're going to make the stamen now. We're going to take this strip of heavy nectarine crepe paper. We're going to go ahead and stretch that all the way out and go ahead and stretch that out as well. They are not going to stretch to the same length. Take some scissors, trim off the excess of the nectarine. So this will be the pollen. Go ahead and set the nectarine on top. You're only gluing it halfway up. I still have a little bit of extra nectarine there, so I'm going to add glue to the top part of the pollen here. Now I'm going to fold the pollen over the top of the yellow stamen. Once you've glued that pollen down, we're going to go ahead and take our scalloped pinking shears. All of the tools and materials you need are listed in the post and also on the PDF. So we're going to go ahead and cut off half of the pollen. Grab your fringe clip, fold the pollen and stamen piece so that it will fit in your fringe clip. You should just only need to fold it just in half. Go ahead and grab your detail scissors. You're going to fringe small, but not too small. I'd say about half the width of each pinked scallop. So this is, if you can see, this is about how thick I fringed everything. Go ahead and take the stamen out of the fringe clip and unfold it. Be very careful because some of the pollen might be stuck together since the glue is still a little tacky. Then I'm going to put it back in the fringe clip, but just work in sections that fit. Roll these between my fingers. Move the fringe clip over. So you're just rubbing between your fingers so that they roll while the glue is still tacky. It'll make your pollen nice and rounded So you do want to focus on rolling those top pollen pieces. They may get stuck together and you'll need to pull them apart. When that's all done, we're going to go ahead and add some white glue to the base. Wrap the stamen around the centerpiece. Make the base of your stamen even with the bottom of the egg. So it's wrapping around the egg, not the wire. Really press the base of the stamen into the egg so it's smooth. You're going to take your curling tool. We're going to curl the stamen in. So just roll your finger with the stamen over the edge of the curling tool. Be very gentle and don't pull. You just want to almost roll or push them over the edge. Next, we need to make some dots in the top. We're going to take our needle nose tweezers. I'm going to very gently push down in so there's some divots, dots that are indents without pushing all the way through the crepe paper. Then we're going to take the Tombow marker and the color Cappuccino, number 992. I'm going to use the small pointed end. And I'm just going to dot each little indent very lightly with the marker. It's okay to make some dots larger than the others. We're going to go ahead and set it aside, and we're actually going to build our leaf. So the leaf is made up of these triangles. You should have 8 of them. Because this is double-sided crepe paper, make sure that all the leaves are facing the same way. They're all the same color versus the lighter green on one side. Doesn't matter which color is facing up, just make sure it's consistent. Take one of the triangles, point facing us, add a line of glue along the right edge. I'm going to take a second triangle. I'm going to flip it over so that the lighter green side is facing me. I'm going to line it up directly on top of that first one and just make sure those right edges are perfectly lined up and that you're pressing into the glue. Next, you're going to very gently unfold it. Don't pull it apart because you don't want to disturb the glue. Add glue from the tip all the way up to the top on the right hand edge again. And we'll grab a third triangle. And go ahead and line up those right edges. That lighter green side should be facing you, so the two darker greens are facing each other. Press the glue together so it adheres really well. And then very gently open it up. Keep repeating this step until you've used all 8 of the triangle sections. Once you've added the last triangle on, I'm going to open up that last one and again apply glue to that right edge, and then we're going to grab the first triangle, folding it over the top, and then pressing that glued edge together so it holds. Then you can very gently look at what will be your leaf. And you're going to set this aside to let the glue completely dry. It should take, I'd say, 10 to 20 minutes. It doesn't take too long. And so let's set that aside and we will continue working on our flower. We're going to be using pan pastel and some colored pencil. Whenever I'm using pan pastel, I like to use a paper towel just because it really nicely catches any excess pan pastel. So we're going to start with the pink, but we're also going to be adding a little bit of green as well. Take your 9 larger petals, then take a blending brush, and we're going to focus our color around the edge of the petal. We are adding a touch of pink to the entire petal, so you can bring it down the center. We just want the outer edge to have the most color. Flip it over and repeat that on the back side. We're going to do that with all 9 of our large petals. We're gonna go ahead and add some colored pencil. So I'm gonna use the edge of my colored pencil, kind of a red pink color, and I'm focusing this on the outer edge just to darken it up a bit. And then you can very lightly bring some strokes down. You'll do this on both sides of the petals, so I'm gonna do some strokes. Once you've finished coloring the large petals, we're going to go ahead and add some color to the small petals. And you should have 6 small petals. Grab a new brush because I'm going to be using some green. This is bright yellow green, pan pastel. Add a lot of green to the base, and then I'm going to brush it up to the center, leaving the tip of the petal white. Do the same on the other side. Add this color to all 6 of the petals. Then we're going to go ahead and add some pink to the petals. So I'm going to take my brush I was using for the pink, very lightly brush the pink up along the top edge, bringing it down a little bit. Flip it over and do the same thing. You want these to be a really light pink, so you can dip your brush in the pan pastel and then kind of brush some of the pink off onto your paper towel before adding it to your petal. Once we're done coloring all of our petals, we're going to shape them. We're going to shape all of the petals the same way. Take one petal in your hand. They're the same color on both sides, so it doesn't matter which side is up. We're going to cup in the center using our thumbs. To make that cup even deeper, I'm actually going to use the largest steel ball tool. Kind of stretch it over very gently while moving the petal up and down. And then I'm also going to stretch the edges over the ball tool so that they'll curl in. Again, you're going to start by cupping with your fingers between your 2 thumbs, and then using the ball tool, just lightly stretching it over the ball and moving up and down as you stretch. And then stretch the edges over the ball tool as well. Alright, now we're going to shape the smaller petals, and we're going to shape them exactly the same way as the large ones. So start by cupping the center of each petal between your 2 thumbs. Deepen that cup by stretching the crepe paper over the steel ball. Stretch the edges over the steel ball as well so that they curl in. Once you've finished shaping all of your petals, we're going to go ahead and start gluing them around your center. You can use white or hot glue. I'm going to use white glue today. I like using white glue to attach my petals because you get a much smoother transition between the petal and whatever you're gluing it to. So I'm just going to add a bit of glue to the base of my petal. And go ahead and attach it on so that it is glued to the stamen and the egg, and the base of the petal is just touching. We're going to attach these petals in groups of 3. And flip it right side up to get a look at your flower as you're making it. Generally, I'm just looking at the back side of this flower as I'm adding petals to make sure those petals are getting added evenly around. I'm going to add the next set of 3 petals, and I'm going to place this one between the 2 petals but slightly to one side. Right, the next petal I'm going to add in the next gap between petals, and I'm going to place that one slightly to the left as well. All right, and your next, so you should have 3 large petals left. And those petals are going to sit in the spaces left in the gaps you see. After you've added all 6 of those petals, you can go ahead and flip your flower over, kind of look at it from the top. You can move any petals around if you need to now where the glue is a little bit tacky. I think this looks good. I'm going to open up my petals a little bit more once we've added the last of the small ones. So we're going to add these small petals in sets of 3, just as we did the large. Add glue to the base. Then add the last 3 petals just in the spaces between the first 3. Really press those petals down, make sure they are secure. And now we're going to go ahead and wrap the stem with a strip of extra fine juniper crepe paper. I usually just take a piece of crepe paper that's about 18 inches long, kind of roll it up and take my scissors and cut off the end so that they are in about 1/2 inch thick or slightly smaller strips. I'm going to go ahead and use one of these strips to wrap our stem. Go ahead and add some white glue to the first section of stem you're going to wrap. Begin wrapping under the base of the flower. Make sure you're stretching the crepe paper as you wrap. It'll help you get a much smoother wrap. Move down slowly. And you can just add more glue to your stem as you go. Once you have your stem wrapped, go ahead and look at your flower. And I'm going to open this up a little bit so that the stamen come out and away from that center. You can also open your petals up more if you would like to. And that's what your finished lotus looks like. And now we're going to go ahead and finish our leaf. By now the glue should be dry enough that you can open this up without it pulling apart. Grab a thick stem wire. We're going to wrap it with a strip of that juniper crepe paper that we just cut. You want to make sure the tip of the wire is covered in with this crepe paper because you are going to see it. All right, once you finish wrapping it, go ahead and set it to the side so the glue can dry just a little bit. Open up our leaf, stretch out each triangle section, just very gently stretch it right at the top of the triangle. This will just help it open up a bit. We're then gonna flip it over and trim off any excess overhang. You can also round out these kind of corners. I'm just going to go ahead and round each one of those using my detail scissors to do this. Once you've rounded those out, go ahead and take your larger scissors, and we're going to cut around the perimeter of it and just make a wavy edge, just so it's not so perfect and straight. Just like 1 to 2 waves per triangle section. Next, we're going to add a little bit of color to this. I'm going to take this colored pencil. It is yellow chartreuse. From the center out to the edge, I'm just going to add strokes. Quick strokes. You should have a hole in the middle. You can press the stem into it. Slide it all the way. So I put the thin end of the thick stem wire through it first. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to add some white glue around the tip and then slide this up until the tip of the stem wire is sitting center, but you can still kind of press the center base of the leaf around the wire, and you'll have quite a bit of glue probably right in the center there. But once it dries, it'll dry clear and you can open the leaf up even more. Here is a leaf where the glue in the center has dried. So you have a template includes a smaller leaf and then the larger one as well. So here are some finished flowers with your leaf. Thank you for crafting with me today.